Guys, and welcome back to the movie. What in the Spider-Man multiverse is going on right now?
Hey everybody, Nick here.
So
here in person for a change.
Yeah. So again, the multiverse is open. Anybody can go anywhere, including us being in the same room to talk about one of the weirdest and most confusing franchises I think we may ever discuss. And that is Sony's Spider-Verse.
But without Spider-Man.
Yes, the Spider-Man-less Spider-Verse.
Which exists for reasons. Mainly having to do with, certain companies having rights to certain characters. And Sony still wanting to push on and tap into that market anyway. And make some money off of some superhero and supervillain properties. They certainly did make these movies, didn't they?
Yeah, they certainly did. But thank you all for joining us. Before we get into that, welcome to Movie Club Emporium. This is our September live hangout. We do these every month. Usually time zones apart, but this is about something we are together. And you don't want to miss it. Every month here at Movie Club Emporium, youtube.com/at the Movie Club Emporium. Also over at our Twitch channel, which is Twitch chat is also up. Twitch.tv/Movie Club Emporium. And if that's not enough for you, we have reviews that go up every week. This week begins our Halloween horror month. And for reasons we'll discuss later, we on the weekly videos are tackling the films of Clive Barker. So you're not going to miss that. But right now, we are going to talk Spider-Man-less Spider-Man. And normally this is where I would say, Nick, how are you doing? But I've seen you the past couple of days.
We've been hanging out for a few days, so you give a pretty good idea how I'm doing, a pretty good idea how you're doing. But we're finally getting together for the first time ever doing this and record. I mean, we've spent so much of the last 30 years in our friendship hanging out talking about movies. We've just never recorded it like this in person together.
Yeah.
So we're just a spin on what we usually do on this channel. And we'll see how much it mixes things up. You know, I think having the dynamic of having us here, we're not trying to step over each other as much from
Says you.
2,000 miles apart. Maybe that'll help things, maybe it won't. We'll see. We're going to find out.
I don't know if much can help this weird thing where it's like, are we making these movies because we have something to say and we like these characters? No, we need to keep the bottom line on this sheet that says we still own the rights to make these, that they don't go back to Marvel.
Yeah, kind of like the Fantastic Four movies, where it's just like, we have to do something to keep a hold of these rights, so we're going to make something, anything. And these movies are certainly something, that's for sure.
So we're going to kick these off, not necessarily in release order. Really, we thought, because the main half of this franchise is the Venom trilogy. So we're going to start with the Venom movies and then move on to the one-shots. But I guess, I mean, is there any of these characters or parts of these characters that, like, outside, knowing that these movies were coming out, knowing that they weren't going to have Spider-Man, was there ever a moment where you cared whatsoever?
I mean, honestly, I remember being younger. Really, you know, I remember being 13 and hoping for, you know, it'd be awesome, a movie that had Venom. You know, I grew up reading Spider-Man comic books in the 90s when you had the amazing Maximum Carnage storyline, which they kind of sort of did in one of these movies very poorly. And watching the excellent Spider-Man cartoon and playing the Spider-Man video games on Sega Genesis. The 90s was a magical era to be a Spider-Man fan, and Venom was so compelling. I had the original. I had like a thick graphic novel of the original saga of Spider-Man coming back from the Secret Wars with the symbiote, and him grappling with that, and then losing it, which kind of, you know, sparked off bonding with Eddie Brock and Venom. So part of me always wanted to see Venom in a movie. I liked her in a movie. It just never occurred to me that's like, we could have a Venom movie, but with absolutely no Spider-Man. Because it seems to me that really, without Spider-Man, there's no Venom. Based off of what we've seen in the comic books and whatnot, the two really, like, they go hand in hand. You can have Spider-Man without Venom. You really can't have Venom without Spider-Man. And I feel that shows.
Yeah, see, I always I grew up reading DC, and so, like, I didn't read Spider-Man a lot. The Spider-Man cartoon, that, much like the X-Men cartoon, is like, any and all knowledge of X-Men comes from that cartoon. Any and all knowledge of Spider-Man for me comes from the animated series. And so I'd have a lot of time to, so like when we get to some of these characters, that's my thoughts. That's where my interaction with them comes from. Yeah, like you said, Venom is such a presence of a character, but it is a presence. It's the idea of, we can do a Joker movie without Batman. We've done it. But to me, Venom, because it's satisfying, it's kind of like being like, well, we're going to do Under the Red Hood, but we're not going to have Batman.
Yeah, it doesn't something about it, it's missing. Just like it's missing in my opinion, every one of these movies.
Yeah.
Getting ahead of ourselves.
Right.
It was an odd choice, and really this only happened for very practical reasons. Spider-Man has been tied up in the MCU for a long time now. And of course, Sony sees all the money the Marvel Cinematic Universe is making. They see, the DC Universe also making money. And of course, since they have rights to various characters, they want to get in on that. So they did this over the course of several years. Spoiler alert, it was a very misguided attempt, in my opinion, to try to do this. It just, I think that the more I think about it, it's like the idea of doing this 6 of these movies with virtually no Spider-Man in them is on the surface transparently a terrible idea.
And it's for whatever reason. Sony just has it in them that no matter failure after failure, by God, one way or the other, we want to do the Sinister Six. And come hell or high water, they want Sinister Six. And it's like, it's failed twice now?
Yes.
3 times, possibly? Like, it's not going to happen.
You know, there may have been plans for it later on in the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi Spider-Man. I heard there might be building to that. I don't know. Of course, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, they flat out show it at the end of the second movie that the various equipment of the Sinister Six. And here in these movies, we're getting allusions to the Sinister Six with various characters. And yet again, it's never come together, and it hits and isn't coming together in the foreseeable future.
Yeah. It's at least with because it's nobody cares about the villain team up. I mean, I like Suicide Squad, but you can't do that kind of tone with the Sinister Six movie. Also, you need the hero for the villains to face, and you can't. But again, we're getting into it. So let's start at the beginning with the launch of this thing, 2018 Venom, directed by Ruben Fleischer, who brought us Zombieland, and starring what I will non-spoiler go ahead and tell you the heart of these Venom movies, Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, Michelle Williams as and again, I'm not being a huge Spider-Man guy, knowing that Spider-Man wasn't in it, I was interested at first because you were like, oh, are they gonna do like an R-rated, this big monster hero movie? And they're like, well, it's going to be PG-13. So I really had no interest in it. And I will say that when we left the theater, they both loved it. And I don't want to say, I don't know, pleasantly surprised that it was better. I felt that it had any right to be. And then what will kind of be, for me anyway, we get into it, the continued part of that is Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy as Brock / Venom, because it's him doing the Venom voice as well. The way he acts off of himself. I still have a lot of fun with this first Venom movie.
Oh, I was worried going in because this is loosely based off Venom Lethal Protector. Venom is a kind of a violent anti-hero, occasional villain, occasional hero. He's known for his brutality and his willingness to kill. He is teeth and claws and violence and ferocity and hunger. And then they make it PG-13. And again, we're looking at it's PG-13 for practical reasons, so people can take their kids to go see it. I get it. First problem out the gate, this should have been an R-rated movie. It should have had more of an edge to it.
Yeah.
But I went in the theater to go see this too, and I did have fun with it. I agree with you. Tom Hardy really does it well as Eddie Brock, and he really sells it as this guy that he is thrust into this banana situation where he has this alien symbiote who bonds with him, merges with him, and talks to him. And he's trying to figure out what's going on. And he looks haggard and tired and exhausted and super stressed out by this situation, which I feel that is a very realistic response to what's going on with him. It's not like, oh, I get this alien symbiote, all of a sudden I'm way sexier. he looks like shit. He looks rough, like he just went on a multi-day bender and got hit by a car. And it's just he sells how stressful this whole situation is so well with his sweat and his look and his body language. And to me, that's one of the best parts of the movie. It's like finally somebody thrust in this situation, this crazy situation, acting in a realistic manner. Because it throws his entire life into disarray, as something like this would.
Yeah, it does. It does lean more into the body horror aspect of it than you think it would. Even though, again, it'll come up time and time again. Is it's hindered by the rating, and I get it, but so much of this movie is discussing eating the heads off of people and all this stuff, all this violence. Also, I like Michelle Williams, and she's fine in this movie. I made the joke about being obligated to be here. In the movies that she's in, she's not in all three. She's in the two. Outside of at some point in the movie, she has to bond with Venom long enough to get Venom to Eddie. To me, she's not. She's of no consequences in this film.
She's there.
Yeah, she's just a character because you get to have the dichotomy of her and then breaking up and like her. We need to have an insight with the doctor, but she's dating the doctor, and Riz Ahmed. If you've never seen The Sound of Metal, he is fantastic. He's a phenomenal actor. But in this movie, he is given nothing to do until he bonds with Riot. And I will say this: of the three Venom movies, this one, the big Venom fight at the end is the messiest. It doesn't look good compared to the other ones, I feel. Like, the stuff with Venom, like Venom and him hanging out and him turning into Venom, I like. But at the end, it becomes kind of, maybe it's because they're fighting on, like, the side of a rocket or whatever. Like, it's all, you're just watching two blobs fight each other, but there's no real telling who's who. I do like the idea of them playing Venom as he's just kind of like the runt of the litter of this planet.
Yes. He's not a badass among his own kind. He's kind of a loser among his own kind, and that's great. And I'm really happy they played it up that way. As for the action, I think in my opinion the best action scene in this movie is the scene where he's fighting the entire SWAT team.
Yeah,
I think that easily steals the show of getting to see his capabilities and his agility, and fighting like 20 SWAT officers armed with all sorts of weapons in this building, which just I think looks amazing. The riot fight, to me, it's the riot fight's fine. It's just kind of unremarkable.
Yeah.
It's not anything that really sticks out as just being extremely impressive. And you get some more. You have we have a chase scene on the motorcycle, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And it's like the action's cool, but nothing that just absolutely knocks your socks off. So the SWAT team, that's good. Just nothing's like great. It's not one of those action set pieces. It's not the elevator fight from Captain America: The Winter Soldier, or any other number of iconic superhero fights. That just you think back to and like, man, that's amazing. Superman fighting Zod and Man of Steel, or Tony the Hulkbuster versus the Hulk.
Yeah.
It's just nothing that sticks out like that.
No.
And that's kind of this movie is. I think it's fine. I think it's a good movie. Just don't think it's a great one, in my opinion.
No.
I'm glad we got a Venom movie. I'm glad we got a fun Venom movie with a sense of humor. It wasn't quite the Venom movie I wanted. It was softened up considerably. We needed something like Logan, Something that was willing to go to those lengths. It just wasn't it.
And that's the other thing too. It only gets worse, and I use the word worse, but it only grows more and more. Um, you see it more as this trilogy goes on, because even in this first movie, the way they present Eddie, the way they present Venom, and their relationship to each other and the other people in their lives, whether it be Michelle Williams, Mrs. Chen, who weirdly enough becomes one of my favorite characters in this franchise. But even that first movie, leaving that theater going, well, if they ever do Venom and Spider-Man, this can't be the Venom that fights Spider-Man.
It doesn't really fit.
No.
And again, we're watching this, and aside from the origin, which they change, like, okay, you're going to change things up when you go to screen. You're already missing Spider-Man right out the gate.
Yeah.
Of having that foil, of having that rivalry. It's not there, and man, that dampened my enthusiasm.
And it's I compare it to, with Venom, he's lovable, he does cool stuff that you can't have him. This Venom versus Tom Holland Spider-Man, like, it's not gonna work. It's like this little, we'll get even nerdier here. It's like when you have a bland, regular baby face in wrestling. And he's just the aw shucks, vitamins and prayers baby face. And you put him against a bad guy who does cool shit. Well, then when they finally wrestle, as the crowd is going to boo the babyface because they want to cheer for the guy who does cool shit. And I'm not saying this is a cool Venom, but the way Venom is presented in this movie, you cannot take this Venom and say, now all this Venom wants to do is kill this little Spider-Man. Because people are going to be like, nah, man, Venom is way cooler than Spider-Man.
Yes. The way I agree, the way it's written, this just wasn't going to fit into that rivalry.
No.
It's not. And I don't know if they had ever had any plans to hopefully combine them. It appears that they did. But if this was going to lead into him going against Spider-Man, it just wasn't setting it up well.
No, you automatically you immediately taken that off the table. Like,
and that really doesn't fill me much hope from here on out after watching this. That it's like, okay, in the Spider-Verse movie, we need Spider-Man. They are really not building it up that way. So where's that going to leave us?
Well, Nick, that takes us to 2021, where so many dudes our age got their wish, because we got, on paper, we got Venom, Let There Be Carnage. This time, directed by Andy Serkis. Yes, that Andy Serkis. Tom Hardy and Michelle Williams come back, and also Woody Harrelson with a much better haircut than they gave him in the first teaser at the end of the first movie as Cletus Cassidy / Carnage.
Yes, a much better hairpiece than in the first movie.
And this is, we're going to do Venom fighting Carnage. I will say that I think, we'll hit my positive stuff first. I think the boss fight in this movie, to me, it's far better than the fight with Riot. Whether if it's just because it's the weird gothic church setting, I think Venom looks distinctly so much different than Venom that you're able to kind of know who's who. It is weird so much that they have to do like the weird breaking moments so they can talk, because otherwise it's just two action figures clanging together.
Pretty much.
It is weird that this movie is kind of like the third act breakup for a little bit. Like, mom and dad start fighting and get divorced in this movie, and that's the mom and dad, of course, being Venom and Tom Hardy, or Eddie Brock, I should say. Um, I'll jump to you before I jump into my major problem with this movie.
So, talking about the action, there are several scenes here. It's like I think of it's like Carnage. I think is a fantastic villain. He's an utterly terrifying villain because what if you gave a completely unhinged but intelligent psychopath serial killer a wild amount of power that's unlimited that he can pour his creativity to. And you see Carnage in the old 90s comic books, and he's jagged. Tentacles are coming out of him. There's one image in particular I always think of where he has Spider-Man suspended in midair, and he's wrapping his various tendrils around him. He is a horror movie villain, and I absolutely love that. And there are scenes like say in the prison scene where you get to see him. It's like impaling people and just un- he's limited only by his imagination of what he can do with the symbiote. Uh, and you get to see that in the church battle, which is a pretty great battle, admittedly. I think the action in this movie eclipses the first movie, but I'm gonna be honest. Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy, in my opinion, was not the way to go.
No.
It doesn't, in my now, I'm not going to do any armchair casting here. I don't know who you would have got. I understand why they picked Woody Harrelson. I don't buy him as Cletus Cassidy in the slightest. And it's just like the ages don't match up either in the movie. And I know that's a nitpick, but it's like Woody Harrelson's a bit too old for it. Uh, so it's his girlfriend, his longtime girlfriend Shriek, who conveniently has powers that can nullify symbiotes, uh, and she's not bad, but it kind of made me think, going back to what I was talking about earlier, the big comic book event where Carnage and Shriek team up is Maximum Carnage. So since they're borrowing from that a little bit, that my expectations are high, and it didn't meet them. Um, there's more in this movie. It seems to be played for laughs. Uh, and I'm okay with that to an extent. It seems to ramp it up, and it gets more pronounced as we go on, as we will discuss later. But getting the casting wrong with Woody Harrelson, who I love Woody Harrelson, man, that dude can act. He has been in a lot of roles, and he's got range. This just wasn't the role for him, in my opinion. That really, he's just not intimidating. He's not scary by himself, because Cletus Cassidy, even without the symbiote, should be scary and intimidating. I just don't see it. And we have Stephen Graham in this movie, who also has a hairpiece. It was like, I don't know why that distracted me so much of this movie. These two guys and their obvious toupees. That's like, who had the better toupee? I don't know. This movie just doesn't seem as interesting as it should be. Far more, in my opinion, than the first one. We are really missing that R rating with Carnage.
Yeah, I will say, well, I'll start there. Is despite the fact that I feel like this one more than the first one does push that PG-13, mostly in that prison escape scene
Yes.
than what you get in the first one. Yeah, you're definitely missing. Carnage is an R-rated character. Um, and yeah, like you said, I love Woody Harrelson, and I know on paper, you look and you go, who could we get to play Cletus Cassidy / Carnage? And somebody at Sony went, "Yo, dog, did you ever see Natural Born Killers? Let's get that guy." And so they did, but then they were like, "Don't do that performance. Be way more subtle about it. Don't give me Mickey. Give me, give me Mickey, but it's like 30 years later." And
Cletus Cassidy is not a subtle character.
no, no, and the other thing too is this movie. This one is like 25 to 30 minutes shorter than the other two. And this is the one you feel it. Like, this movie is sprinting to the end.
Yes. It doesn't, it's like kind of just rushing through things. There's not a lot of build up. It's just like, okay, we gotta get to the next action set piece, next action set piece. It doesn't take its time, and it feels very abbreviated.
And it's like, there's Ravencroft. We mentioned Ravencroft, and there's Shriek. And then the thing would just be like, oh, his girlfriend, Shriek. So nobody else in this world has had superpowers. Now this woman does. Thankfully, it's the one power that could thwart the Symbiotes.
It's like, that is awfully convenient.
And then you have the cop, you know, like I said, with the bad hairpiece, like he's doing his best Donnie Wahlberg from the Saw franchise.
Trying to figure out what's going on. He's like, I'm on to you, Eddie Brock. I know you had something to do with fill in the blank. Playing pretty stereotypical cop, but it's Stephen Graham, so
yeah.
Dude gives it his all.
Yeah.
It just... And we talk about the real hero of this movie, Dr. Dan.
Yeah.
Who comes in and saves the day multiple times, who is cool as shit, and just like, he's a guy you can depend on 100%, and should stay with him instead. He is so much better. That's like, he's a likable guy, and he comes in and saves. What a guy. Most likable character in all of these movies, in my opinion.
And he is treated like the mom's boyfriend and my parents might get divorced. Like, he is the Pierce Brosnan of Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes.
We're like, clearly he's the better choice.
I mean, undoubtedly, please stay with him. Please. And he even coming to Eddie and Venom's rescue at times. That's one. It's a kind of pretty minor aspect. I liked it, and I liked that he showed back up and had as much of a role as he did.
Yeah.
But it kind of gives you an idea of, I was looking for things in this movie to like.
Yeah, and again, I love this weird relationship that Venom has with this like Asian bodega owner, and how big of a role she plays in these movies for some reason. But she's great. She's a highlight for these movies for me.
They really went all in on her. Why? But they did, and you know, I'm here for it. She's a likable character, but this movie just feels bare bones.
Yeah, it's
it's a lot of anticipation for what winds up being a fairly underwhelming movie with some cool visuals that definitely has some casting issues. And it's just going at such a breakneck pace to make it to the finish line. You feel it. Missing an R rating, and here we are again. It's missing Spider-Man.
Yeah, at least with Venom being a more... not Venom. Carnage being a more formidable villain, you are getting like the good-bad fight, and so Spider-Man kind of would feel like the third wheel in this particular movie. But yeah, like you said, it takes so long to become Carnage, and then the movie just shifts it into fifth gear and will not slow down for anything.
And it's the issues are really mounting in this one.
Yeah.
In this one too, you're gonna have higher expectations because you're throwing in another iconic character. And again, I felt let down. It's not awful. I think this movie is kind of okay, but watching this is the my second go around watching this, and I was like, it's okay. It's just really unremarkable, and it should have been way better. It could have been better.
I guess I should say that too. Of these 6 movies going into this, the first Venom was the only one I had seen. I had not seen anything else. So this was the first time watching this one, and yeah, definitely going from Venom to Venom 2 was kind of a letdown. But then we get to the weirdest. Okay, so I'm like, Let There Be Carnage. That's a good name. That's a fun pun. Venom: The Last Dance from 2024, because of that Michael Jordan documentary. I guess we're calling it The Last Dance, and they like had no hints of like this is the last one. This time directed by Kelly Marshall, who wrote, or co-wrote 1 and 2. This is her directorial debut, so we get the Blade Trinity experience. Although it seems like the star of this movie didn't act like a total asset to their director. Um, Again, Tom Hardy, Chadwell Ejiofor as Colonel Strickland, Juno Temple as Dr. Payne. She's supposed to be. It's not the same one from the same Venom from or symbiote from the Spider-Man 2, is it? The Lady Venom.
No.
I don't know their names.
I don't remember, to be honest. I used to know it. It's been a while though.
Reese Ifrans as Martin, and we'll talk about Martin. And then they brought him back this time, and what he does best in mocap, Andy Serkis as Null, the symbiote king. And let's start there. This movie suffers from Rise of Skywalker syndrome, where we're just starting with like, oh, yeah, the king of the symbiote planet, he's this evil Dark Lord, and we haven't mentioned him at all, but know that he is the big overarching villain of this entire trilogy. Very suddenly. Again, not a character I'm familiar with. He looks cool. I'm sure if I had an action figure of him, he would have been one of my favorites because he looks awesome. But he's just like, I'm the king of this planet, and all the symbiotes imprisoned me. And so now I have these giant alien basset hounds that will go out and hunt down the symbiotes and kill them. But I need one to whatever the MacGuffin is that they call it in this movie. And that's kind of where we are with this one. So I'll let you start with The Last Dance.
Oh, well, starting out, I'm all for humor in movies. Humor in comic book movies. I think the two often go hand in hand. I was a little worried with the trailer how heavily it seemed to lead into the more comedic elements of things. And it's like maybe it's going to go too much into it, kind of like Thor: Love and Thunder did. It's like, okay, I absolutely have levity in movies. I don't think everything needs to be deadly serious, but it kind of looks like okay, things are getting kind of silly now. There were a few cool things in the trailer, but we get into this and it's like, oh, there's, we have no, they're throwing a Null again out of nowhere. Somehow, Eddie and Venom have been together for a while now, and he's never mentioned, oh yeah, there's Null, who's the most terrifying being across the multiverse. And he hates us, and we imprison him. And yeah, it's like, it's like somehow this important thing has never come up at all. A little hard to buy. We also find out that there are other symbiotes being held at this government facility, and they're being, examined. And we find out, oh, Venom has this, this codex and whatnot that Null really wants. So he sends out his watchdogs, the Xenophage, which is a cool name.
Yeah.
And let me say, the monster design, the design of the Xenophage, with their like mulcher mouths that guts out the back, really cool. I will give it that. But man, I don't think this movie worked.
No, as far as like the ending of this trilogy, it doesn't. There are certain things in it that we'll get to that I did enjoy. I think not because I was like, oh, this is the perfect example of Venom, but just because, again, trying to find some fun in knowing what we had to come. Again, I hate that we're still, because we are still trying to like backdoor our way into Marvel stuff. We have this stupid multiverse thing that comes of nothing. And then the secret, and then the cop being alive somehow. But that too really comes to nothing. And he kind of disappears at the end of this movie.
He does. The cops bonded with another symbiote. You have all these symbiotes in this underground facility. They're trying to warn the U.S. military. Is like, we're the military and we're going to protect America at all costs and the planet and whatnot. And, no reasoning with them. They shoot first, ask questions later. Kind of very stereotypically written in a lot of ways. There's not much nuance. They do have, there's like, there is some cool like military gear. Like there's a scene where they drop in to try to capture Venom in the river. I mean, that's cool. There's some cool. It's like it said with this movie. There's some cool things here and there.
Yeah.
I think the story is just not great.
No,
It doesn't really. It doesn't feel fulfilling, and it's in the end. It's like, hey, remember this? Remember this symbiote? Remember this from the '90s? Remember this from this other thing? They just kind of like assault you with all these various symbiotes with various abilities and whatnot. It's like, hey, isn't this cool? And it's like pouring out a bunch of symbiote action figures and just crashing them together with a Xenopage action figure at the end.
That, and then you have like these actors who are great in this movie, but like it's just like, hey, did Marvel do you dirty in the one movie you were in? Come on down to The Last Dance, because like you have the Lizard, Kirk Connors, and you have
Mordo.
Yeah, Baron Mordo. These actors in this movie, which I will say, and maybe it's wrong, I like the stuff. I like the weird like Venom and Eddie trying to get across the country. The horse is stupid, but I kind of had fun with it.
It looks cool. It's dumb. Okay, like a lot of things in this movie, it's dumb. And I forgot my notes up in Washington, but that's one of the few things I wrote down in this movie that I otherwise didn't have a lot of commentary on, and like for notes was the horse looks cool. It's stupid, and this movie is just kind of dumb in general. They lean really heavily into these hippy dippy people in a Volkswagen van, and Eddie hanging out with them. For some reason, it fixates a lot on those characters.
It does, but let me tell you, I'm watching this movie, and I'm kind of like, I just kind of want to see like this hippie dad. He just wants to take his family to see Area 51. And all I can think about is that Viggo Mortensen movie, Wanderlust. Which just seems to have a better ending than that movie does.
It didn't... to me, it struck me as like, this feels like it's something from another movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Kind of thrown in there. I get it, and it's like, I like the dad character.
Yeah.
And I saw a little bit of meaning in it, but it just feels out of place. And that's the thing, a lot of various factors in this movie just don't quite mesh.
No, and the one of the most out of place things is, again, one of the parts that I loved was the Vegas stuff. Like, there's no need for the Vegas stuff to be in it, but when he goes and beats up a guy who's pissing on the wall of a casino and takes his tuxedo and goes in, and Venom goes nuts and just starts gambling like an idiot. And then there's a dance scene where they try to like sexy up Mrs. Chin. Mrs. Chin!
For reasons. Why? Who knows? What? No reason.
Like, you like that, lady? What if we dressed up like the fairy godmother from Shrek 2?
And there you get the titular Last Dance.
Yeah.
And this movie ends, and I'm sitting here. It's been 2 or 3 weeks since I watched it, and man, I'm struggling to remember a bunch of details about it.
I do like this movie does flat out, like, this is the end of Venom and Brock's story together. Like, there's no real tease of, like, maybe? Because the crux of it is one of them has to die to kill this Cotex, or the Cortex, not a Cotex, it wasn't a tampon. Codex. It wasn't a tampon. That'd have been a movie.
Cotex fits, period.
Yeah. If you kill the Codex, the Null cannot escape. Venom sacrifices himself to let Eddie live and save the world. So that he actually does get to be a hero.
Controversial opinion, Chiwetel Ejiofor, I'm probably butchering his name. He was right. the right call was probably to kill one of them.
Yeah.
It sucks, but it would have saved so many lives. It's like, I was watching, it's like, I don't like it, but he's probably right here.
Yeah. And but to have that happen, and then at the end, like, this is the last movie. This is the last Venom movie. And then for it to end with Noel being like, "I'll get you next time, Gadget." It's like, wait, what?
Like, oh, okay. It's like, don't know what you're leading up to, and it's probably not. It just comes across
Nothing. It's
meaningless. There's no reason. It's like, well, that's going nowhere. Because I know before the movie came out, people were like, we have a new huge threat that has arrived. Nah, he showed up one movie. He's trapped, and maybe he'll come back again in the future. But I am not holding my breath. So
Also having Gino Temple and then the Mexican actor, all I could think of was like, man, I really need to finish Ted Lasso.
What a great show. I love Juno Temple to death. I think she has a lot of talent, and she is wasted here.
Yeah.
She is just, they did nothing with her. So they have a lot of great people in this cast, and not much is done. Not much is done with it. They collected a paycheck, good for them.
They give her a name, but they might as well have just called her Lady Doctor. Like,
yes, that's all she is. So with that, we end the Venom trilogy, and it fizzled out with, in my opinion, the weakest entry in a not particularly strong anyway trilogy.
Yeah.
I was underwhelmed. This one was so like seemed more kid oriented, so it's why it's like I wasn't watching this one be like, oh, this seems to be, it probably should have been R-rated again. But at this point, I kind of just, I guess, got used to it. And here we are again. No Spider-Man. Yeah. And the trilogy ends with no Spider-Man. Even though, if I recall, with the multiverse shenanigans at the end of Venom 2,
it's the tease of the end of was it Far From Home?
There was something, and you can see that, so it looks like, oh, maybe they'll connect them.
Yeah, nope.
Not at all.
No.
Not gonna happen. Not anytime soon, anyway, and definitely not with this version of it.
And on the bright side, if you do want and I'll be the proponent of it. If you do want a really great Spider-Man versus Venom, play Spider-Man 2. Because you get, not only do you get Spider-Man versus a very scary Venom, you get Spider-Man versus Tony Todd's villain. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Tony Todd, indeed. Well, it gets weirder from here in my opinion.
Yes. So, again, having not seen these, only knowing about Morbid Time and the weird play of a movie coming out, tanking, and the internet memeing it, and the studio misunderstanding that meme as, oh no, the people want it, and re-releasing it only to watch it tank again.
That is one of the most, it's like that fascinated me to no end, because what they think is like, oh man, we would just kind of turn to a meme, so we're gonna make money. No. People are going to look at the meme, chuckle, then move on with their lives. Not, oh, we're going to get large groups together and go watch Morbius. And maybe if they come out and said, hey, it's Morbid time, come watch this really shitty movie. We know it's crap, come watch it. Throw popcorn at the screen. Maybe that would have worked. It wouldn't have. Maybe.
So yes, we were talking about Morbius, 2022. Directed by Daniel Espinosa, who did Life, which is a kind of an underrated movie. It gets chalked up to like an Alien ripoff. I kind of like that movie. And Morbius is a character that I'm very familiar with from the cartoon, and that's it. Because even in the movies, I was like, wait, he doesn't have suckers on his hands? He's supposed to have little mouthy hands.
Yeah, they really had to tone him down for the cartoon. And it's like, they didn't even call it blood. Even in the cartoon, he's like, plasma. And plasma. And he has fangs, inexplicably, in the cartoon, but he sucks your plasma out of your face and whatnot.
Yeah.
With his sucker hands. But otherwise, it's like, he can fly and has super strength, and very very vampire-like qualities. I was a little familiar with him. I read some comics here and there. I have a few comics of him when he was part of, I think they were called, the Night Stalkers, with Hannibal King and a few other various monster hunters. Uh, but I wasn't super well versed in Morbius. Another one I remember long ago, back in especially the early 2000s, when X-Men dropped and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man dropped. There were a lot of rumors of a lot of different comic book movies in the works, and I had heard rumors of a Morbius movie. And I thought, out of all characters, Morbius, really? It didn't seem to be the one that would be best to bring to the big screen. Turns out I was right. It was not, because Morbius is kind of a boring mess, garbage ass movie. We get Jared Leto, because of course it's Jared Leto, as this doctor who's not particularly interesting or appealing. He's got this genetic medical maladies that's affected him his whole life. His body doesn't work properly. He can't walk properly, and the clock's ticking. But he has this brilliant mind, and he's trying to figure out, using treatment based off bats, how he can heal himself. So he goes through, stands in front of a bat cave and goes to do some science with beakers of colored liquid, and bam, he's healed. But with a twist, he's now a vampire with vampire powers and a need for blood. And you get to see it. He does this transformation on the ship, and the ship full of heavily armed mercenaries, because apparently if you're going to do illegal medical experiments off the coast of the United States, you need a large vessel full of extremely heavily armed mercenaries for
That's how maritime law
reasons.
works.
Yes. I don't know maritime law, so you may very well be right.
Don't you remember in Dead Rising? It's the same thing. You need a boat full of mercenaries.
Yes.
Deep Rising? Well, yeah. What did I say?
Yeah.
Deep Rising. Okay.
Yes, Deep Rising.
Okay, so this is where hot takes come in. All I knew of this movie was like, here's the meme, and it was complete trash. So I'm like, I've sat down, I'm ready to hate this movie. And it is not a good movie. Let's first and foremost, this is not a good movie. However, let's pretend that it's the same era as, say, Spawn or Daredevil or Ghost Rider. Back before we knew what comic book movies could be. If this had come out then, much like those, most of us would have been like, yeah, fine, whatever, that's close enough. This is the most early 2000s, 2022 superhero movie I've ever seen.
Absolutely. It harkens back to that era, while, in my opinion, being more boring than the other movies of that era. That's the problem. It's just, Michael Morbius, I didn't find him to be an interesting I couldn't get into him as a character, how he was written.
He's not, and the like the way it's told, like we rush this weird backstory with Jared Harris, who just vanishes from the film until like he pops in to be like, "Hey, check clear? Okay, yeah, cool. All right, I'll see you guys later." Like he just wanders out of the movie again. And poor Matt Smith, like he's nowhere near my favorite Doctor Who.
He is too good for this movie.
He's too good for this movie, but I feel like this constantly happens when he's inserted into a franchise, whether it's this or it's the Terminator franchise. Like, this poor guy cannot... Thank goodness people like that House of the Dragon, because him and the franchise cannot catch a break.
No. And again, it's just like, I think everybody in this movie is just dull as dishwater. I just...
And you have Tyrese and the other guy, and Tyrese is playing his detective like he is like the second detective on on like a season of True Detective. Meanwhile, his partner is playing like he's Andy Samberg's buddy on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
They
Like,
are completely unmatched. And it goes like, oh, look at this mismatched pair of cops. Tyrese is too damn serious for this
yeah,
movie. And I think this movie takes itself very seriously. It probably would have worked better if it didn't.
it did.
I just,
And as much as we continually harped on the fact of Venom being R-rated, this is a movie about a vampire who feeds on the blood of the living. This isn't R-rated. Like, this isn't the R-rated one.
yes. And I mean, we have the scene where the experiment goes through and he rips apart a bunch of mercenaries. And of course, you have to keep it toned down.
Yeah. And then you have Rogue Matt Smith running around like when he's not like I'm sexy and I know it dancing for some reason in this movie. For that scene. He's just roaming around feeding on people, and that's again not R rated. I don't hate Jared Leto. I don't. I think his style of acting, we've got to stop putting him in like he cannot play big characters. The Joker, nope, doesn't work.
No.
Michael Moore, he's a vampire, not as bad as his Joker, it still doesn't work. Him in Blade Runner 2049, perfect casting.
Excellent as Neander Wallace.
Him in Lord of War, fantastic. Requiem for a Dream, those first 30 Seconds to Mars albums.
Yes.
I am all for Jared Leto.
I am down. I am in. Jared Leto. Jared Leto's not the Leto's not the problem with this movie.
No.
I don't think it's any lack of acting talent. Man, he is just isn't given anything in this movie. There's just, I mean, I say he looks the part. I'll give him that. He does look the part. Good for him. Because he kind of looks like a weird ass vampire in the best of days, but you have nothing to work with. One thing in this movie though really pissed me off because it's like, what? It is the fact that they stapled on the Vulture, Adrian Toomes, played by Michael Keaton, at the end of this movie, and it was one of the most tacked on things I've ever seen in a movie.
Not once, but twice.
Yeah.
We're like, did you get it?
Wait, no. Did you see Michael Keaton? Adrian Toomes is here. It's the Vulture. So due to multiverse shenanigans, Adrian Toomes, the Vulture from Spider-Man: Homecoming, great villain, by the way. I think excellent choice as the Vulture. Loved him as a villain in that movie. Shows up in this universe in jail. But since he's not a villain in this universe, they let him out of jail. Of which somehow, despite the fact that, reminder, this is not the same universe. The Battle of New York never happened, which is literally where the Vulture got all of his technology to build his powered suit and his flying, apparatus, weapons, and whatnot. He somehow, fairly pretty quickly, manages to rebuild this suit identically, then meets up with Michael Morbius. And he proposes, spoiler alert, he proposes that they and people like them should team up.
He might as well have looked the camera like straight down the barrel and been like, if there was you and me and 4 other people, we could do some sinister business.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, there was never any point in time where Morbius was a member of the Sinister
Six,
ever. No. So why are you putting it in there? Did you pay Michael Keaton a mountain of cash? He's like, okay. And you're like, okay, we got to fit this in somehow. It doesn't fit. Also, at the end of the movie, this really bothered me. They completely gloss over this. So throughout the movie, Morbius, he's using this artificial blood, but it's getting less and less effective over time. I guess stealing it from Blade, in 1998. And towards the end, he's like, basically he's like, I'm going to have to, punch my own ticket because I can't live like this, and I'm going to have to live off blood, and I can't do that. They had the big climactic fight. after making this speech, it's like, I can't turn into that. I can't become that creature and feed off people. Wins the fight. Then the movie continues on, and apparently he's, driving down the road, meeting up with a vulture, hunky dory. And when they completely gloss over the fact that he needs human blood now to survive.
Yep.
It's absolutely happened. So, what exactly is he doing about that?
He,
There's not even a scene like thrown in there to explain it. Like, oh, I'm bribing a dude to the blood blade.
It's because you can't see him. Jared Harris is asleep in the back seat of that car because that's where he dozed off on set. So when he wakes up, he'll be like, "What? Oh yeah, blood. I got that. Don't worry about it."
Yes. So any emotional gravitas that it had, with it's like, I can't live like this, with this character arc of, I can't turn into that kind of monster. It's thrown out the window. And it's like, oh, that, yeah, well, forget about that. By the way, here's Michael Keaton as the Vulture.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. This movie's stupid. It's dull and stupid.
I do want to positively address, though, I like the way he moves. The vampire stuff, the way they move.
There are some cool visuals in this, I will say.
Yeah.
There's some of the flying and pursuit scene that are quite well done, and I think look pretty cool. I think that the design of the vampires, like how they look in the face and how they move, is well done. It is. That is one of the highlights of this movie, probably the main highlight of the movie. And it's cool, and I can appreciate the CGI and the visuals that went into this. They are definitely better than some of the other CGI we will talk about. That's just not enough to say this movie or recommend this movie.
No.
Again, Morbius has been a standalone character. I'll be honest, I don't think Morbius is a great... I've never thought Morbius is a great standalone character. And I think the character Michael Morbius in a Spider-Man movie has some serious potential. And they could have done that, but they didn't. And as it is, it's like one boring vampire fighting another boring vampire, and I don't care.
Yeah.
And that's just, this movie's like, cool. No stakes. They're trying to set up a really bizarre version of Sinister Six, and I'm not here for it. Sorry.
No. And I agree with you. Yeah, Michael Keaton. If I was Michael Keaton, whenever it happened with McConaughey, where he was just like, I'm not doing rom-coms, so don't ask me to do a rom-com. I don't care if I never work again, until he was able to get to True Detective and like Dallas Buyers Club. He was turning down movies left and right because he didn't want to do rom-coms. If I was Michael Keaton, and they're like, hey, you're Michael Keaton. Do you want to be in a comic book? No. No more.
Nope.
3 strikes and you're out. Batgirl, The Flash, and now this? No.
No,
no
hey, it's Michael Keaton. Remember him? Yeah, he's played superheroes before. It feels so cheap. And to the point where, if you remember, they even threw Michael Keaton in the trailer.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the scene that winds up in the trailer, the little clip of Michael Keaton, isn't even in the movie.
Neither is the Spider-Man tie-in that's in the trailer is not in the movie.
It's just like there was a few lines in the trailer, it didn't make it in the movie, and it's like it's bait and switch, and I don't know. And he references Venom once in the movie, trying to scare some dudes. Like, oh, that's okay, but it's just, again, we're here. This movie felt needless, and I was glad when it was over. Too much talent in this movie that was just utterly thrown out the window for a movie that really didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
I need to step away for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over. I'll be right back.
Yeah, what do you say? And again, it's just okay, we want to build this world. Let's sit down. Let's figure out these characters. What? All right. Well, we can't make Venom a bad guy. We do our very best to not make Morbius a bad guy. Our next film, we are clearly trying to not make that guy a bad guy. So, like, what are we doing? Like, is it going to be the Sinister? We're going to change their name to the like Superior Six? Like, what are we? They're all good guys with an edge. It just doesn't make sense. But I will say, I enjoyed Morbius more than Nick did. But I'm a sucker for those like terrible like Spawn. I fucking love Spawn in all its terrible glory. But speaking of boring, we're gonna jump over the main event because before we get into that, let's talk Craven the Hunter. Aaron Taylor Johnson, who very well could be the next James Bond. Who I like as an actor, like we were talking the other day, like I think he's great in Bullet Train. But you have him playing Craven, which we'll get into the stuff. But my number one take is mostly because it's the thing I can remember that I wrote down because I've dropped my notes I need to grab. Is he plays the son of a Russian mob boss that lives in London, and for whatever reason, they're making Craven do his like really terrible kick-ass American accent.
The accents. The direction they decided to go with the accents is a little odd for reasons, but Craven is this character who is looking for the ultimate hunt. And this character, the background stats, organized crime boss. They're also big time hunters. And Craven, they're on a hunt, gets attacked by a lion, and through some magic manages to get, it's like he's given this potion that kind of heals him, but it also enhances his physical abilities and his senses and whatnot, making him much more formidable. Plus, he's extensively trained and whatnot as well. So you pick up sometime later, and Craven's going, it's like you have a scene in a prison where he's going in there to take out this, getting brought into a prison to take somebody out. In a scene which I admit I think is pretty cool.
Here's the thing. We have spent the last however long discussing on why 3 Venom movies and 1 Morbius the Living Vampire movie should be R-rated. And they know it. Why, with Craven the Hunter, did we decide, fuck it, let's do it R-rated?
Well, my opinion is because it made the movie more awesome. Because that's the thing. It was missing. And watching this is a gory movie. He really messes people up. There's some crazy fight scenes that are getting awfully bloody. I wish we'd had that in the previous movie. It was an odd choice, but I thought at this point the writing was on the wall that this little universe of theirs was not going to work out. So like, screw it. Why not? Let's try it. And I think the movie's better off for it.
So, there is a lot of stuff in this movie that I really like. I love, again, I'm a sucker. I love like later stage his career, Fat Russell Crowe. I love him. I love him doing this terrible Russian accent. And he's just like pushing around Craven's little brother, who we'll get into here in a little like toward the end when we talk about that revelation.
Didn't see that coming.
It's just so much of this movie. I think I watched it. I was like, to me, this is the most boring of them. When the fight stuff does happen, but otherwise it was like Craven the Meanderer, like or Craven the Expositioner. Like to me, everybody is boring in this movie except Um, uh, uh, I didn't write his name down. Castor Troy's brother,
I had to look up his name.
the actor who plays the Rhino. Which, okay, the Rhino is not a character I had on my bingo card for a Marvel movie. And no, I would never, never defend Paul Giamatti dressed like Calendar Man in a mech suit. And as somebody with psoriasis seeing the Rhino in this movie, I felt seen. But he is the only actor who is like, yeah, I know what a piece of shit this is.
The actor's name is Alessandro Nivola, which I don't Nivola. I gun to my head, I could have never told you that, and I really like him. I must say, bravo to them for actually having a Rhino that feels at least somewhat faithful to the comic books.
Yeah.
You know, he was kind of an underling for Russell Crowe. You know, Craven's status, a crime boss, and he gets this procedure done, which gives him, you know, extremely tough skin and a lot of power and strength and durability, but it causes him extreme pain. So he has to wear this backpack,
This baby backpack.
you know, with these chemicals in it that kind of keep the rhino side of him suppressed. I dug it. You know, Rhino's shown up in a lot of incarnations. That this one is just like, this feels like the Rhino I knew.
Yeah.
I know in like the Spider-Man games and Paul Giamatti as in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Yes, he uses tech. I really like they went with this is a guy who's been experimented on, and he's powerful and tough and charges, and it's really hard to beat.
Well, even in like even in the cartoon, he looks like a dude in a onesie. Like he looks like a linebacker in a onesie.
Yes.
So yeah, I like that they make it big, but he's like the only one in this movie that is like having fun, because so much of this movie is just like it's Craven fucking dealing with family stuff, man. And then the scene where like he's running barefoot through England, I was just like, he's Captain Americaing it. The idea that he takes a boat from England to Russia and like lives out in the Siberian jungle in this like super cool conservatory. And this is another one that feels like it just keeps like there's stuff missing, because you have the scene with Rhino and he's like getting bullied by Russell Crowe, and then we cut away, and then when we cut back, he's like his own crime boss with his own cool villain that again kind of comes to nothing. I don't know what they call it. What's the character's name?
The Foreigner.
The Foreigner.
Who's one of the more obscure villains.
Yeah.
To draw from, but he has this like mental ability that he can basically just like kind of pause you in place and move around you. So he's extremely formidable. I like the guy who plays him. He was in that Amazon show Catch 22.
Mm-hmm. He's great in Possessor.
I actually really like the character of the Foreigner.
Yeah.
I thought he's kind of a terrifying villain, almost kind of Kilgrave-esque, you know. The idea of this villain who can make you lose control of your mental faculties and make you doubt what you see. I find that especially scary. He's a scarier villain.
Yeah.
Plus, we have the muscle of the Rhino. I think they make for decently compelling villains. Now, this movie's crap. I will not defend that it's not. It's. I saw the runtime. I think it's like a little over 2 hours long.
That was the other thing too. It's the longest of all these movies.
It shouldn't have been this long. This movie should have been a tight hour 30, hour 40, absolute max. But I'll be damned if I didn't have fun with it. I actually enjoyed watching this movie. It's stupid, but there's some cool action scenes, and then it goes for it with the gore, and he is like busting dudes up, cutting them up, splits a dude in half. The fight with Rhino, caveat. Rhino in full CGI form is not great. The CGI does not look great. If you can kind of put that aside, I really, really like their fight. I've seen these two guys, of him trying to outwork and outmaneuver a more powerful opponent. I did like that.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe's Russian accent, not great. He's intimidating. I liked him as the crime boss. And his brother, who's kind of a little bitch a lot of the time, you know, he's kind of looking out for him. Then we get a twist about his brother. One that I didn't see coming. It was kind of, kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. It was like, okay, I can live with it. Even though it kind of, it's like we knew it wasn't going to go.
No, I just remember I was sitting here watching it, because they keep saying, like, he keeps doing this, like, Russell Crowe impression. And they're like, well, he can sing. He sings like that. He sings like Tony Bennett, because I love Tony Bennett. He sings just like him. And I was like, so he mimics? Well, it'd be real stupid if they did it. And they did it.
Which leads to the goofiest scene in the movie, where it's like he goes to his brother, spoiler alert, the chameleon, who can shapeshift. Because he's like, oh, I got him to do some experiments on me too. So he goes, Aaron Taylor Johnson goes, grabs his shoulder, turns around, and it's smaller Aaron Taylor Johnson staring back at him. And I was like, wait, what? I rewinded it to watch again. It's like, no, that's what happened. He shapeshifted into it. It was just a much smaller version of him.
Yeah.
And it was real goofy. Real goofy. I was like, oh, they threw in another character. So hey, why not? Like, have fun with it. This is a dumb movie, but it's a dumb movie. At least they had some fun with it, and they actually went for it with some scenes, and I can respect it. I had much more fun with it than other movies in this series, even though, damn, it's too long. I like Aaron Taylor Johnson as Craven, but again, I'm like broken record here. We're missing Spider-Man.
And to me, this one has the worst tie into Spider-Man. Because he gets, like, drugged. And he, like, has this weird, like, dream of spiders. And I get it, because I don't like spiders at all. So, like, to have this weird, like, scarecrow-esque vision where all these spiders are dropping down, that's terrifying. But that's so, like, you get it? Hey, do you get it? And I wrote down here, now that I can actually, since I picked up, I called it Craven the Talker instead of Craven the Hunter.
He does a lot of exposition. He does talk a lot.
That, and it should be pointed out, because I was really proud of it. I wrote it down, is the whole time, like, he gets this big cool coat at the end, which always happens in these movies. They never dress like you want them to dress. But every time he's in London as, like, undercover normal mode, I just wrote down he's just dressed like a youth pastor.
Yeah,
he's like got this necklace, and he's got like this big leather strap bracelet on, cargo pants. Like, it's just like, man, come on, dude. Again, talking about something from the early 2000s in the year of our Lord 2024. He is dressed like 2001, and it's kind of gross.
And they had this, he gets this iconic, like, furry vest on it at the end. And it's like he's got a six-pack out. He pulls it out and sort of
sits in a chair that's completely uncomfortable. Like, nobody sits in a chair that way.
Yes, so you can see his glistening abs and his cool coat. And you're like, oh, okay, well, nothing's going to happen with that.
No.
Guess what? Nothing did. So, in my opinion, it's stupid movie, too long, but I had fun, and I could appreciate. I had a good time at times. I liked Aaron Taylor Johnson's Craven. I liked Rhino. I liked the Foreigner. So I looked up the Foreigner's abilities. To answer you, Tommy, he with eye contact could put you into a temporary 10-second trance where you basically can't do anything. So Kilgrave Light, I guess you could say.
And yeah, I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. As far as like characters, I've never been a huge Craven fan. I do have one comic series that's like Craven versus he starts hunting the Punisher, which is a pretty sick set of books. Going like I said with Venom, I love the use of I love Craven and Batman, Jesus, Super or God damn it, Spider-Man 2. That the character of Craven in that game, I think, is great. A great portrayal of him. I think he looks fantastic. It's just he's so. Aaron Taylor Johnson, he got super buff, but he's a little dude.
Yeah, he's not he's one that it's like should have been a little bit. I don't know. Physically speaking, I don't think he's super small. I think he was okay.
Yeah.
Okay choice for it.
I do feel like Russell Crowe is in this movie not only because he's just fun for Russell Crowe, but like Russell Crowe, that strikes me as like if this movie had been made back like then like right after Gladiator, Russell Crowe would have been Kraven the Hunter.
Absolutely, and I'll be honest. But back then, I would have been all.
It'd have been
He would have
amazing.
made a great Craven the Hunter. The iconic Craven storyline. I always think it's Craven's last
Last
time.
time.
Where he outworks Spider-Man, takes him down, then takes over as Spider-Man. What a great uh, comic story! And I that's the problem. It wouldn't. I can't think of any way you would fit it in, but it would be that would have been cool if we could have built up to having a cinematic version of Craven's Last Time. Never going to happen. And again, this is a movie that at the end of the day feels pointless.
Yeah.
But again, at least it was kind of fun and stupid and real gory. So they finally went for it. So I didn't hate this one as much.
Well, I have a sneaking suspicion how you're going to feel about this last one because this is it. This is the main event. This is the whole reason, really, to do these movies is because somebody needed to talk about what in the world they were thinking when somebody in a room went, "Hey, what if we made a Madam Web movie?"
Okay. No one asked for this ever. Like, I have a hard time believing anybody on Earth ever was thinking, but like, you know what? We need a Madam Web movie. Let's be honest. People who knew Madam Web, especially in our age range, remember her from the cartoon, and she didn't show up until the later seasons. She's this blind kind of psychic oracle lady that kind of helps guide Spider-Man along.
I was gonna say, even if you know her from even if you watch those cartoons, the minute somebody goes Madam Web, you go Madam. They're like lady in the chair, blind lady in the chair. You're like, oh, Madam Web.
I remember when it got announced, I was like, okay, out of all the comic book movies they could make, this one I get the least.
Well, there was a time when they were gonna do an Aunt May movie.
I'll be honest, I understand that more than Adam Webb. I don't think that's a great idea either. But I think most comic book movies' ideas make a lot more sense than this. This one, it's utterly baffling. Did they just have only a small number of characters to choose from? They said, well, got to do Madam Web. And, oh, we're going to make it have to take place in early 2000s. Okay, I don't remember saying this in the movie. But apparently this takes place in 2003.
Yeah, 100%.
And we know this from flip phones, and they drive past a Blockbuster in one scene. And the TVs look old.
Oh, and we are in a diner dancing to Britney Spears' Toxic.
Yes.
So
they're trying, it's like in a really easy way. Oh, shit, it's 2003. Remember this?
It really went well for Captain Marvel.
Went great.
So yeah, and starring a bunch of actresses who are way above this movie. Dakota Johnson, who is a really great actress, but man, she is. I hope the paycheck's good, because at least with like the Twilight movies, Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart, like we did those, we got our big paycheck. That money will be rolling in forever. Now we're gonna go do these great movies, and I feel like I don't know if maybe you feel like the 50 Shades movies would have been equally as big a payday. But she is. It's not on the level of like Rooney Mara and Nightmare on Elm Street level of like not giving a shit in this movie.
Oh, but she clearly
Good
doesn't.
thought.
She knew she was making bullshit. And I'll give her that. Her performance, she is completely phoning it in, but I don't blame her. Those checks still cash.
Yeah, and Sydney Sweeney, who was in one of my favorite movies last year in Immaculate, um, she's in this as like, look, we're gonna make you the ugly one.
You're the nerdy, ugly, homely one. It's like they throw a set of conservative clothes on her and glasses, like, oh, she isn't this gorgeous blonde all of a sudden. It's like,
Yeah. What if we put this atrocious wig on her?
it doesn't work. She's still very attractive.
I feel like this has to have been like the idea was be like, what? Hey, this could be our Birds of Prey, only with a bunch of characters that you don't care about, and isn't nearly well as written. Because that's to me that's the one thing in this movie that's my favorite piece of trash in this movie, and why I low key like this one as a so bad it's good movie more than the others. The dialogue in this movie is atrocious. You know all the stuff where it's just like, he killed my mother while they were in the Amazon hunting for spiders. Adam Scott. That's the other thing too is the amount of talent, like actors in this movie. I don't know who had to call in favors, or how so many bigger actors and actresses had such high parking tickets that they had to do this movie to pay them off, because Adam Scott as Ben Parker, which of all the movies to get the closest to Spider-Man, it's this movie.
By far.
Emma Roberts showing up as Spider-Man's mom. There was a moment in this movie, though, where I was like, I don't like this movie. I'm having fun with how terrible it is. But right now, if you give me a de-aged Marissa Tomei, this will be my favorite movie of this entire series. Just because of the audacity of it. But they don't. It was not Omar Epps. Mike Epps pops in as dead meat for some reason. And then you get this villain.
Oh, Ezekiel Sims. I don't know where they dug this guy up at. His line delivery it's atrocious.
It is not his fault, Nick, because we were watching this movie, and this is the only one I made Amber watch. I was like, she was like, oh, I want to watch that one to see how bad it was. And then when time came to put up or shut up, she was like, I don't want to watch that. And I was like, tough. I watched the other 5. You got to watch this one. His second line delivery, I turned to her, I'm like, he's dubbed. They've dubbed him, and it's bad.
Really?
It's Arnold Schwarzenegger in Hercules in New York bad of dubbing. Franco Nero and Enter the Ninja bad dubbing.
It's horrible. And that's what I was referring to. It sucks, and it's so obvious he's dubbed. And it is distracting this entire movie. Plus the fact that I think either aside from the bad dubbing, you just physically can't. And it's like physical space. I think he sucks with dubbed or no. I don't think he's great. Then again, he may be talented. He also just realized what a terrible movie is he in. Dressed as Spider-Man. He's dressed in a straight-up Spider-Man suit that's like with a color palette swap. That's it.
Yeah, it's like, I wonder why J. Jonah Jameson hates Spider-Man. Probably because he's the only one who remembers the Spider-Man of 2003.
Running around murdering a bunch of cops in the subway. And it's like in this one, so that down somewhere in a jungle down in South America, or back in the 70s, are looking for this spider that can supposedly cure all sorts of things, and there's this tribe who has superpowers.
The Spider-Man tribe?
The spider, yeah, they look like People found some old rope and paint and tried to make a Spider-Man costume out of it.
It looks like, remember when they were doing the Spider-Man Broadway play? If they were like, well, this isn't working, what if we gave it to Circus Soleil? That's what, that's what it looks like.
I so badly wanted to see that Spider-Man Broadway play. That would have been so entertaining. Anyway, so the Spider-Man tribe, and Ezekiel Sims kills Madam Webb's, Cassie Webb's, Webb, get it? Mom. Or like shoots her while she's pregnant. The Spider-Man tribe takes her, fights her, doesn't save the mom, but it gives Cassie Webb all these powers, or these abilities that don't manifest itself till later. Meanwhile, the whole time, Ezekiel Sims has superpowers, strength and speed and all that shit, along with he has these recurring nightmares about this trio of spider women that come in and eventually kill him. So he's like obsessed with it. So he uses this most state-of-the-art 2003 technology, which I'll be honest, I don't think a lot of this tech was like looked at anything like this in 2003.
The Dark Knight's echolocator? No.
Yes, the facial recognition that I'm sure worked extremely poorly back then. Even the stuff that the government had. Trying to track these girls down and take them out before you get them out. And they're rescued by Cassie Webb and her premonitions. In which they go on a road trip to try to avoid getting killed by this guy, by evil Spider-Man. All the while, they're doing the most dumb things imaginable while being extremely unlikable. Cassie Webb is such an unlikable jerk of a character.
Yeah.
And these girls, not very likable either. Like, who am I supposed to sympathize with here? Nobody's likable. Nobody cares in this movie.
It's Adam Scott, because he's just trying to be the best darn ambulance driver he can. And he's got to put up with this terrible partner. And then he's got to go put up with... He's got to babysit these girls. And then he's got to care about his sister having a baby in his car. And then all that lead up to, he's just going to be murdered horrifically off screen at some point.
Yes.
And the balls of this movie at one point to say, and the guy gives her the line, with great responsibility comes great power, or whatever.
It's something that I had it written down in my notes. I was like, really? Did you really? With great... When you have great, it's like when you have great power, there comes great responsibility. I mean, they just basically mixed up the layout of the words for that. With great power comes great responsibility, and it's so stupid. It is so dumb. Presumably this looks to be a prequel, a prequel telling you the background of these Spider Women and Madam Web, who is going to cross paths with Spider-Man, years down the road, and we get a showdown at a fireworks factory, which is just, again, stupid and nonsensical. It's so dumb at the end.
It is.
It gets so stupid.
But when evil Spider-Man punches a firework into a helicopter and blows said helicopter up, I almost stood up in my living room and cheered.
And despite his power durability, how he's defeated, it's just like that. Wait, that's what took him out?
They're just fighting on the Pepsi building.
Product placement.
It's even more atrocious than the final fight at the end of Highlander. Just this giant sign. And here's the spoilers. You see the pictures. You see the three different, you see all the Spider Women in their costumes. That never happens in the movie.
It's a dream. It's a small segment of a dream. They sold it hard in the trailer. It's not like that.
So the whole movie is just evil It's this Spider-Man. The whole movie is evil Spider-Man trying to kill 3 teenage girls.
While there being 3 unlikable teenage girls who are, being guarded by a very unlikable ambulance driver.
Yeah.
Also, I kept writing down, if you had played a drinking game where every time the word web is said or you see a web on the screen, you would die of alcohol poisoning. Because so many times, like, oh, look, there's a web in the window, there's spider web. It's just like, there's a web in the dream, there's this web. It's ridiculous. And it's like, we get it, there's webs. I get it. Stop it.
And knowing the name of the character, but we're sitting here watching, and it's because she would be embarrassed, but she shouldn't be because it just means that she is not a giant nerd about these kinds of things. But we're sitting there, and way further in the movie, she goes to me. She goes, "They just say her last name was Webb." I was like, "Yeah,
It's all so on the nose.
it's Webb."
They might as well break the fourth wall and we get you in this movie, in this stupid movie.
And the opening is just like, I've seen this. This ends with a bunch of spiders in Jeff Daniels' barn. Like, this is how this movie ends.
There's definitely some so bad it's good moments in this movie. Don't get me wrong, but it's so much of it in between is so damn dull. This is such a shoddily made, shoddily acted movie, and I understand what you're saying. It has a so bad it's good appeal. I tell you, this was the second go around for me, and it was losing its charm the second time around.
Oh yeah,
I believe this got my worst of last year, and it was well deserved. I can't believe this movie got made and released. If this movie got made and then shelved, I've been like, I get it. No, they released this in theaters. Apparently, Dakota Johnson went on a press tour from it, and she was trying really. She was just like, "Oh yeah," she was trying to say nice things while she was fully aware this movie was terrible.
yeah. No, yeah. Take all of my enjoyment of this movie is a one and done. Like, there are movies that you and I, Night Beast, Jesus Christ, Vampire Hunter, I've watched a number of times. If you wanted to sit down after we get done here and watch Champagne and Bullets 2 times in a row, I would be down. But no, I will never need to watch Venom Web ever again. But the one watch, I was like, this is insane. Because the whole theory of this movie is why. Why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why was that decision made? Why was that the choice? Like, so much of this movie is why.
This movie is completely pointless. There's no reason for it to exist. No one asked for it. It is awful. I don't think there's been a worse comic book movie in this century than Madame Web. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something I'm forgetting. This makes Captain Marvel look amazing in comparison. It's just so incompetent and so incredibly misguided on every level. It's impressive how much of a misfire they made here. I don't think they could have made a crappier movie if they tried. And I'm just, it's the second time around, I'm in awe of that. Watched it with my wife, and she was just blown. She's like, wait, what? And ever since, she's like, well, like, oh, need something to watch. You want to watch Madame Web again? I'm good. Thank you.
No.
So, and with that, it's like the last movie in the Sony Spiderverse that had Spider-Man in it, sort of, but he's not Spider-Man.
No, he's born in it. We have to go to Spider-Man's baby shower and be awkward. That's fun.
That's what that's the thing I always missed out on. It's like, I wonder what Spider-Man Peter Parker's baby shower was like. And again, no Spider-Man in this movie, but this is the only movie where, like, okay, it makes sense. Well, I mean, I guess he's kind of in the movie Born, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the question I have now is, it's like, what went wrong? What could have been better? What could have been done to save this? What went wrong? Because I think we've been talking about it throughout. What went wrong is there was no Spider-Man in a universe that clearly is based around Spider-Man, and it was glaring. It was such a glaring omission. It's distracting.
It is. And the second part is, if we're going to do a movie with a villain, a superhero villain, for better or worse, movie like The Joker, then you stay true to that villain. For whatever reason, to be like, we're gonna make these villain movies where they're all kind of, except for this one, where they're all the hero of their own movie.
Yes.
And then again, I'm not familiar with Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery like I am with others, but I know it's fairly massive. Why these characters? If you're gonna put together a Sinister Six movie, why, like, again, Venom doesn't strike me as the Venom would be a works well with others villain.
Never in the Sinister Six either, as far as I know.
So yeah, like the Sinister Six is gonna be this monster giant alien, an old man with a jetpack, like the Rocketeer, a living vampire, Captain PETA, and like mirror universe Spider-Man.
Oh, it's like none of these people. It's like that's exactly it. If you try to put all these people together to fight Spider, they don't fit together like at all.
You couldn't get, like, with Marvel so tied up, they're not gonna even let you have like Nacho from Better Call Saul to be Scorpion. Like, do that.
That's the thing. There's been some setup. They could make a killer Sinister Six story or movie. They could lead into it. None of this was working for that. None of it. And then none of these characters seemed like they would mesh together in the slightest. And it just nothing seems to like work together in concert, and everything seems to be building towards absolutely nothing. I'm okay with standalone movies, but they're trying to build a universe, and this is the sorriest attempt, short of maybe that Mummy movie with Tom Cruise, of building a new universe.
That's true. However, that's one movie that again has a lot of so bad it's good. I can rewatch that movie.
I'll take it back. No, this is worse than that. This is a worse attempt.
Because at least they made the one movie, they looked and went, man, we fucked up. Okay, well, never mind. No, we were 6 movies in before they were like, not for nothing, but there might be a problem.
Yeah, this ain't gonna work, and it doesn't. Choose different characters. They have to have Spider-Man has to be in the movie, even if he's not the main character, even if it's not a Spider-Man-led movie. Things that need to be R need to be rated R. We've had Blade. Blade is 27 years old now. That movie's been around forever. R-rated superhero movie. We've had Logan. We've had Deadpool. R-rated superhero movies or villain movies, whatever. Obviously, can be successful.
You have all
Don't defang them.
You have all the Netflix shows that are streaming on Disney Plus. Like in the heart of Mordor, Disney's Mordor, you have these R-rated shows. Daredevil Born Again is an R-rated show.
And it's the better for it. But bottom line is, don't make a Spider-Man universe series of movies without Spider-Man. Choose the right characters. Choose compelling characters. Madam Web's not compelling. Morbius didn't find that interesting. Craven, I said I liked okay, but I'll be honest, even though I had fun with the movie, I don't need to. The way they set it up was like, okay, well, it's kind of, that's all I need. They didn't set it up for it to have any kind of shelf life.
No.
And Venom just really fizzles out.
And I guess we've been going long enough to where we're all friends now, right? So I could say some pretty hot take things. Rewatching these, and you're right, they need, if you're gonna do Spider-Man villains, you need Spider-Man. However, if we don't do any more, I know they're doing one right now. I know they are. I don't know that we need Spider-Man movies right now. I enjoyed the first Tom Holland movie. I thought Homecoming, him in Civil War was great. I liked Homecoming a lot. I did not care for Far From Home just because I thought the way they did Mysterio was stupid. Even though I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I know everybody loves the third one because you get all the Spider-Men together. But that is the movie that has great Spider-Man villains with Spider-Man. But Marvel kind of mucked them up too.
I'm gonna disagree. I really like all three Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. I thought they did a pretty good job of making a very plausible Mysterio. I think Homecoming's still my favorite. I think it's a great Spider-Man story. And No Way Home, it was, even though I'm not a huge fan of multiverse shenanigans because it kind of takes away the stakes on a lot of things, I really like how they did the villains in that movie. It was great to see Willem Dafoe again as the Green Goblin, Alvaro Molina as Doc Ock, and I love seeing the Spider-Men work together. And I know a lot of it was a case of, I think, nostalgia being done right.
Yeah, and it is, and they're not. My problem with Far From Home is, again, the problem with these movies is you're like, Mysterio's a good guy. You're like, well, he's not. He's clearly the bad guy. And so you're just waiting for it to happen. And of course, in these movies they don't, but in that movie he does become the bad guy. That could be a whole Marvel episode where we talk about that and the fact that every villain in this entire universe doesn't have to have a blood debt vendetta against Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I liked Defoe. I liked what they did with him and May, like to make that happen. To me, it was mostly Spider-Man 2 is my favorite Spider-Man movie. I love Alfred Molina. I think he's a great Doc Ock. And I feel like as scary as he is in that movie, No Way Home kind of defangs him for that whole Marvel, we're all super quippy. Like, Mary Jane and Spider-Man shouldn't be giggling because his name is Otto Octavius. That shouldn't be a joke.
You're probably right.
Again, that's for another time. We're talking about the non-Spider-Man movies.
Yes.
But,
although I address something real quick, I disagree. I think Tom Holland is accurate as Peter Parker because he actually looks like
he is a good Peter Parker.
I think he acts like a teenager. I think he's awkward like a teenager. I think he's very intelligent, but it's just like, it's kind of playing the nerdy outcast and not either a super cool dude like Andrew Garfield or a 30-year-old youth pastor like Tobey Maguire.
Yeah,
that's my take. Everyone has their favorites.
I think he's a great Spider-Man. I just think because in order to do him, he's never allowed to just be. It's not just Spider-Man. All these movies have to tie in because they have to tie into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That is, and it's like you really feel that in Spider-Man: Homecoming, where it's like, oh, here's Tony Stark.
But to me, that one does it the least because at least you're playing up that he's dealing with the Vulture. You know, you have the high school aspect of it. The second one where he's just walking around sad because Tony's dead the whole time. You have to get to Nick Fury because that's the only reason you can get him in the stealth suit. And then the third one with, him being mad that he accidentally got his girlfriend unaccepted to college, so he breaks time and get him to fix that with Doctor Strange. Him fighting Doctor Strange for no reason.
But here you go. We're talking about the Spider-Man less Spider-Verse movies, and we're talking a bunch about Spider-Man.
100%.
Because it's what's missing.
100%.
Couldn't have done it. It was always a transparently terrible idea. And we led to a bunch of movies that I think the best of which is just okay.
Yeah.
So, how would you rank these movies?
All right. So these 6 movies, and I can tell you right off the bat, we're going to be widely off on these. So I will start with number 6. My number 6 is Kraven the Hunter. Again, there was a lot of stuff that I did like in it. I think it getting to be R-rated while the other ones weren't made me mad at
And
it.
taking into account the entertainment factor, I think it's objectively the worst movie here. It is incredibly poorly made. It's stupid, and I was kind of offended watching it. And again, I was like in disbelief at how bad it was. I'll go ahead and mention my number 5, Morbius. I said I thought it was just dull and boring, and tacking on the Vulture was a terrible idea, and it was just such a cheap move.
Yeah. My number 5 is Madam Web. It's not any good, but I did have more fun with the so bad it's good. It was more entertaining watching it as a train wreck than it was watching Craven for me. Uh, my number 4 is Venom. Let There Be Carnage. I love Carnage. I think again we talked about. I think the problem with that movie is it's tripping over its own feet to try to get out of the chute. It's just trying to run so fast and Woody Harrelson is great. I know why we cast him because I too enjoy him in Natural Born Killers. Widely miscast because he does not give you that performance in this movie.
My number 4 is Venom: The Last Dance. I just didn't care for it. It doesn't mesh, doesn't work. Wastes a lot of talent, and it's just kind of it feels like it's leaning too much into some of the worst aspects of the MCU, with focusing so much on the just the silly, goofy humor. Going on to my number 3, it's Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Carnage looks cool. I like Dr. Dan. I don't. I just the rest of this movie is like, it's not great.
Yeah,
It's okay on the absolute best of days, but not great.
no, my number 3 is Venom Carnage The Last Dance. That would have been something. Venom The Last Dance. I think I enjoyed it a little more than you did, mostly because I was just weirdly in my mind, like invested in what this family vacation was gonna be like. Even though it had nothing to do with the Venom stuff, but I was just like the actors that they hired, and I was just like, yeah, man, I hope they get together. That family deserves it. They were so nice. Um, my number 2 is Morbius. Again, Morbius is boring and it's dumb, but watching Morbius, it just gave me that nostalgia of watching those terrible or late 90s, early 2000s superhero movies where it was the best we could do. It's the best we could hope for. And so I enjoyed it as one of the like if that had been like, oh hey, we found this old DVD next to Ghost Rider, and you'd be like, oh shit, they made a Morbius movie? Yeah, crank up the new metal. Let's watch some Morbius.
It very, very much has that feeling, and it didn't really hit me until you mentioned that. My number 2 is Craven the Hunter. Part of it is I went in with such rock bottom expectations, and I actually had fun with it. I liked a lot of the action. I really liked the execution of Rhino, aside from the shoddy CGI. Um, it was one of the ballsier, probably the ballsiest movie in this whole franchise. And it's like the action and gore was like, oh man, oh snap, I can't believe they did that. It entertained me more than the other ones I mentioned before. So for that, it gets my number 2. Even though I said it's not a good movie, it's not one I'm going to recommend. It's just my own personal opinion. Number 1's Venom. I would say, objectively speaking, it is the best movie. I think it works the best. I don't think it's has as many acting technical issues or anything. And yeah, Riz Ahmed isn't great as Riot, but he's also in the movie less. So, and you kind of still buy him as this tech mogul who's kind of nefarious. It's fine. It's an okay Venom movie, but even here this okay, not great. And that's at the end of the day. It's like it's not bad. It's all right. I didn't hate watching it again.
Yeah, no, that Venom's my number 1. It's not only the only one I've ever seen more than once. I've seen it. This is my 3rd time now. It is the only one that kind of feels like there's like a comprehensive plan behind it. And again, there for what takes about it that I do have, so much more. The movie is more fun than that. Like the good far outweighs the bad in that movie.
I'd say so, and you get, I think, the best performance of all 6 movies is Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock.
Yeah.
I think he nails it. I think he captures the character of Eddie Brock very well, and said responds so realistically to the situation. I appreciate it. Yeah, I did have fun watching it again, but man, the first movie was the high point. It did not get better from kept on getting, and maybe someday we'll get Venom and Carnage introduced in a better way. I'm not holding my breath. In the meantime, go back and read some old 90s comics. Go back and read Maximum Carnage, especially. Go back and read Venom Lethal Protector. The 90s Spider-Man comics were just pure gold. There's a lot, read Craven's last time. Or go back and watch the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, which holds up. Still great cartoon. Love it.
And I know people were mixed on it, and they're not a sponsor. That Spider-Man 2. You get all 3 characters in some form or fashion done far better than they are in any of these movies.
I haven't been gaming as much lately. That's one when I bought my PS5. I'm really looking forward to playing, because Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man, the first one, and Spider-Man Miles Morales are both fantastic superhero games. I would say, closing in on not quite at the level of the Arkham series, but they're in the same league, and just in terms of quality and making you feel like Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent games. I'm really looking forward to 2, because I'm sure it's wonderful.
As somebody who was never a Spider-Man guy, I would put them up there with the Arkham games.
They do such a great job in the first game. I love in the first game that we get an older Peter Parker. We're not going through the whole origin story again. He's well established as Spider-Man, and fighting a very overwhelming situation. It's an excellent story. The DLC is great too, but the game plays in such a fluid manner.
Yeah.
The upgrades are amazing. The missions it's such a fun game. Spider-Man Miles Morales, I think, is also really good, although it feels more like a DLC.
It should have been DLC
than a
short.
standalone game. Really good story. It's a lot shorter. I think it did do justice to the character Miles Morales. Very much still worth playing. I'd say if you want a Spider-Man fix or Venom fix, or getting into any of that, watch the Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s.
Yeah.
Read some older Spider-Man comics, and definitely play those games.
So that will do it. We are our webs have been spent.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean we're done here. When one multiverse door closes, another one opens. Again, every month we do this. Not here,
Unfortunately.
But we do get together every single month. You do not want to miss it. Here on YouTube and Twitch. Next month is Halloween, and so we are gonna get into the spirit. And let me tell you right now, there was a comic book guy. He was one of the guys early on YouTube that I got into talking about comics. He was an animator and a documentarian, all around seemingly great guy. Sadly gone, John Schnepp. When he would talk about getting deep into the weeds of whether talking movies or comics, he would refer to it as getting sweaty. You're getting sweaty for these things. Well, let me tell you, next month, we're getting sweaty because we are diving into Stephen King's The Stand. This is our first, as two guys that love King, this is our first official foray into talking King together, really. Outside of just conversations with ourselves. Not only that, we're tackling one of the most beloved books as well as two very different televised versions of it. The 1994 miniseries, as well as the 2020 limited series for The Stand, and everything in between, before and after, and what's in the future for The Stand. So it's my favorite book of all time, so we're going to be diving into that as well. It's something that connected us very early on in our friendship, so you are not going to want to miss that live stream. So, to tie into that, with our October weekly reviews that go up every Sunday at 4 p.m., I want to spread the love author-wise, so we're looking at 4 films from the mind of Clive Barker. But I feel like there's nothing I could tell you regarding Hellraiser or Candyman that you could not, there's nothing I can tell you that you haven't heard before. So I want to look at some lesser known Clive Barker movies. And we are starting off with not technically his first one, but the first big one that his name is on, Clive Barker's Rawhead Rex. So it is going to be a lot of fun. So that video will go up tomorrow. And then of course, as he can, we'll have Nick's post theater clarities.
Yes, I'm starting the long journey back tomorrow to Spokane, and I'm planning to get back to the movie theater and get back to giving you all some regular reviews, my regular reactions after I go see. There's a lot of compelling stuff coming out of the movie theater, and I'm looking forward to it. And I will be getting to the point. Things have gone down in my life enough. I should be able to upload that weekly starting very soon. So bear with us, and I appreciate you all supporting us so much.
Well, so let's just because we can have it for posterity, and you guys have earned it. You've listened to us talk about 6 terrible, seemingly terrible films. It's technically not a post theater clarity because we watched it at home, but last night we did watch VHS Halloween. Now, this is the 8th Halloween movie. The 8th VHS movie. This is your second VHS movie, correct?
Yes.
We watched 85 when last time you were down. When you were down around this time at 8, we watched VHS 85. So we watched VHS Halloween. I will tell you, if you get the chance, it's on Shudder. This is one of the top entries in this franchise.
It hits pretty hard.
It goes for it, so buckle up.
Yeah. Pulls no punches.
But I can't, for the life of me, thinking of the stories, I can't think of one where I was just like, You know, a lot of anthology movies, you have the great story, and then you have the ones where you're like, well, I mean, that kind of makes the other ones look better because that one kind of sucks. I can't really think of one.
No,
not really. that they all kind of hit.
It was a strong lineup, I'd say.
So there's your post streaming thoughts on how, because I don't want to spoil it. Go watch it. It just came out yesterday.
Yeah, I would say it's only my second entry I've watched somehow. Definitely worth watching. It said though, it goes real hard. Yeah. So I was pretty taken off guard, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So go watch that. That'll be the only movie this month because I'm doing all these retrospectives on Clive Barker that I'll actually talk about a newer movie. So go watch VHS. And then Rawhead Rex is on Sunday next month. We are talking The Stand. So if you plan on getting into it with us, be forewarned. You got one miniseries at 6 hours, one limited series that is 9 hours. And if you want to be a champ, you can read the book that takes about, I think the audiobook is 46 hours long. So,
yikes.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for us tonight. As always, this is a lot of fun. It's really fun because we get to do it in the same room.
Yeah, First time will be the last. I will be back down, and we will do this again, and I'm looking forward to it. Didn't have the most fun watching these movies. Always had a lot of fun talking about them.
Maybe next time we'll plan for like a really like, hey, you know what? What a great set of films.
Yes, I think we're gonna aim for that next time. We really should.
That, or I'm gonna double down and be like, you know what? You have to watch now, Nick. You have to watch the Fulci Gates of Hell trilogy.
Oh.
Happy Halloween! No. All right, we will see you guys next time.
Later.
Bye.